Good boy. Hey everyone, today's video is about teaching your horse how to paw. And before we get started, why don't you leave in the comments how tall your horse is? So Tucker here is 13'1", he's just a short little guy. He's technically a pony, but I love him all the more, you know, closer to the ground. And if you haven't already, please go ahead and hit that subscribe button. So if you want to teach your horse a trick like the Spanish walk, a great place to start is teaching your horse to paw. So I'm sure we all know that one horse that loves to paw in the barn aisle, and it's so annoying. So this can be a bad behavior. So what I'm going to teach you guys is how to teach your horse to paw without using food or a treat as an encouragement. The reason I do this is because if the horse learns every time they paw they get a treat, then it's going to turn into a bad behavior where they're going to assume that they can do that when they're standing tied or when they're in the barn aisle. So we're not going to use treats today, and I'm going to show you another way to do that. So the first thing I'm going to do in order to teach my horse how to paw is I'm going to teach them to pick up their feet on command. And this can help for a number of reasons, mainly because it just gives you more control and a more effective way of communicating with the horse that you want their foot to be picked up. And when it comes to teaching your horse to paw, you only really need to teach them this on their front feet, but I'll go ahead and show you on all 4 feet because this is actually a tool you can use to teach other tricks. So when I taught Tucker how to lay down, this was a huge part of getting him to do that. So very helpful thing to teach your horse, and it can also desensitize them to pressure on their legs. So teaching your horse to pick up their feet is pretty straightforward and simple. All I'm going to do, I have my lunge whip here, I'm just going to tap my horse's fetlock really light, and I'm just going to keep tapping until they shift their weight or they even pick up their foot, and then I would stop tapping and release the pressure and just kind of take a step back so they're like, oh, I responded correctly. So if I tap here, you see Tucker picks up, and as soon as he picked up his foot, I remove the pressure. I'm just going to let him stand here so he knows that that was right. So if your horse is new to this, they're not going to pick up their feet right away. So what you can do, you know, you start lightly tapping, and if they don't pick up their foot, well, he did, but if they don't pick up their foot, you can gradually increase the tapping. Now, you need to be careful because, you know, you don't want to be whacking your horse in the leg. That could make them really angry about getting their legs messed with, and it could even cause damage. So when it gets to a point that, you know, I shouldn't tap any harder, what I can do is I'm going to tap the leg, but ask the horse to step forward, so at least I get that motion of picking up the foot. And as soon as the horse does that, I'll release the pressure. Not the right foot, there you go. And so the point of this here is to simply help the horse understand that that tapping means they're supposed to lift and move their feet. If in the beginning, you know, they're taking a step, that's perfectly fine. They're trying to grasp the concept. So same thing with the back feet. I'll tap until he picks it up, then I'll release. And even if it's just the slightest pickup, you can release. But once again, if he doesn't want to pick up that foot, I'll tap, and then I'll ask him to step forward. And as soon as he picks up that foot, I release the pressure. So before you can effectively move on to the next step, you want to make sure that your horse is really responsive when it comes to picking up their feet. So I just want to be able to maybe tap once or twice and have him pick up his feet. Come on, wake up, wake up, wake up. Good boy. Is this one? Good boy. This one? Good boy. Good boy. So we've covered this step in other videos before, and real quick, I just want to address some troubleshooting from some questions that I've gotten from viewers. Some say that they just cannot get their horse to pick up their leg when they tap. So one thing you can try is when you go to ask the horse to pick up their foot, you can use tapping as a signal, and this will help them, you know, understand the concept more. So I can tap, you know, and I'll keep tapping, and then I can take my hand and pick up. So every time you go to clean out your horse's hooves, this is what you should be doing. So once again, I'll tap, but then I'll he picks up his foot anyway. So once again, I'll just tap, but then I'll also ask my horse using my hand, and this will help them understand the concept more fully as well. Good boy. So when it comes to teaching your horse tricks, not every method works for every horse. You know, horses are different just like humans are. So I've researched a few different methods you can use to teach your horse to paw, and I'll real quick just cover all of them, and then I'll cover my personal method so you guys can get an overview and see which ones work best for your horse. So with this first method, I haven't actually tried this on Tucker, so I'm not sure how quickly he'll pick it up, but I'll just explain it to you guys and show you the system for it. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to be standing behind my horse's front leg here, and this method is great because it can correlate well into under saddle. So what I'm going to be doing is I'm going to be cueing my horse down where my foot would be if I were on the horse, so then when I get on the horse I can use my cue and have them paw under saddle. So what I'm going to do here is I'm first going to get my cue. So I'm going to find the horse's elbow, which is right here, and I'm just going to cue behind there just by tapping my finger, and I'll tap a few times so the horse can think through the process and be like, oh, that's the cue. So I'll tap, tap, and then I'm going to use my crop here and tap the back of his fetlock after I've given my cue. So tap, tap, tap my cue, and then I'm going to, good boy. So as soon as he lifted up his foot, I released, and I'm just going to reward him for a minute. So I'll tap, 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 use my crop, good. So right there he extended his foot a little longer, he held it up, that was perfect, that is what I want from him. And then you're just going to work from here until you can, you know, have the horse hold up their hoof longer, and then you can encourage them to kick out. So a lot of them will just do it anyway. Good. There, good boy. So the second method for teaching your horse to paw is actually really simple and easy, and it's also a great way to then go into the Spanish walk with your horse. So for this next method, what I'm going to do is I'm going to tap my horse's front leg and at the same time ask them to take a step forward. So what I'm looking for is by tapping and asking them to step forward, they're going to kick that front leg out and take a big step. And so that way that'll help them understand, you know, the pawing motion and kicking that leg out. What I'm looking for in the beginning, the horse isn't going to necessarily paw right away doing this. They may just kind of elongate or extend that stride. And so I want to look for that extension where they're holding their hoof in the air longer. And so let's try it. So I'm going to tap, step, good boy. Let's do it again. Let's do this leg. Oh, oh, there you go. There you go. So I've actually worked on this one a little with Tucker. We've been working on our Spanish walk. But I'm looking for that elongated stride. Oh, there you go. Good boy. Come on. There, good boy. So with that second method, as you can see, we've worked on that before, and it's great for starting the Spanish walk. You can see him doing a few of his little kick-ups. So let's move on to the third method. This is the method that I've used from the beginning when teaching Tucker to paw, and I found it really effective and natural for the horse. So with this next method, I kind of came across it randomly. So what I did is I watched a lot of videos of horses paw, or just horses pawing in general, and I noticed that when they paw, they always kind of round and arch their neck. And so I thought, well, maybe if I teach my horse to do that and like soften their neck, then maybe pawing will come more natural to them. So that's where I started, and it seemed to work great. So I'll show you guys really quick what I did. There is an extra step to this method, but I promise you, this seems to me like a very natural way to teach this. So like we said in the beginning, you will need to have control of your horse's feet. So make sure you can command them to pick up their feet. But another thing you're going to need your horse to do is to lower and soften their neck on command. So real quick, how you teach this with the horse is you're just going to take your lead rope like right under your halter, and I'm just going to pull down towards the ground. And in the beginning, I'm going to apply a light pressure. I'm just going to steadily increase my pressure and hold until the horse dips their nose, even if it's like the slightest movement. So hold, and I'm going to have to hold hard because he's asleep. Wake up, buddy. You're gonna fight me, good boy. Alright, so hold the pressure, drop at the nose, good boy. Good boy. You can just work on this to where, you know, you can just apply a little pressure and the horse will lower their head. And if you have a horse that doesn't really like to do this and all they do is fight the pressure and pull their head up and away, you just hold steady, and that may seem a little hard in the beginning, but as soon as you just feel the slightest give, you release. So that way the horse learns that that's the right behavior. And so with every horse I've worked with, I've done this. Eventually they'll get it. I've never had a horse that had a complete problem with it unless they were in pain. So now what I'm gonna do, and I'm gonna stand over here so you guys can see exactly what I'm asking him. I can ask him to soften, and then I'm gonna take this and just tap. Good boy. So in the beginning, the horse isn't gonna paw. He may just hold his leg up there. But what I am looking for is he is holding his leg for an extended period of time up in the air, which is perfect. So eventually I can encourage him to keep hold of it. Good. And see how he kind of got that swing? So as soon as I saw that, I released my pressure. We'll do it again. Good boy. So you're really looking for the horse to have that suspension in their leg where they're just holding it up. And then once they can get that, you can encourage them more just by tapping more to step forward. So let's try it one more time. He's just suspending it there. Good. And you saw him kind of swing his leg, so I'll reward him for that and I'll give him a break. Good boy. So we talked about how you don't want to use treats to reward teaching this because it will eventually lead to the horse thinking they can paw anytime and get rewarded with food. So real quick, I just want to show you some other methods you can use for rewarding your horse, basically anytime you're actually doing trick training. So one of the most important forms of rewarding your horse is releasing pressure. So let's go back to when we were asking the horse to lower its head. So as soon as I get even that slightest lower, I release the pressure. You guys can see me open my hand. And that's letting the horse know that's what I wanted. You yielded to the pressure, so the reward is I'm going to release the pressure. So when you're teaching tricks, the best thing to do is ask the horse to do what you want. As soon as they do it, I release the pressure, and I just kind of take a step back so they can think about what they learned, or I can pet them and let them know that that was good. I can find their scratchy spot. Oh yeah, right there. But basically just taking a moment to step away from what you just asked them to, so they can think through it and process it while you just let them chill out for a minute. So another thing you can do when it comes to rewarding your horse during trick training is you can get the horse to just walk after you've been asking them to do the trick. So tricks specifically can be kind of really mentally challenging for the horse. There's a lot of processes they have to think through. And so I'll only spend maybe like a minute at a time working at asking them for the trick. And then I'll just have them walk for a few minutes, just so they can think about something else and kind of have that release where they don't have to be constantly mentally working. I hope you guys found this video helpful, and if you did, please like this video and also subscribe to our channel, and also go try these methods. Come back and comment which one worked best for you.